Say a chatbot to a 12-year-old middle schooler is a video game NPC you could talk to in real time. In simpler terms, it is a robot you could talk to. To an engineer of a higher level, it is a robot you could talk to. This is where ideas are very, very important and creative ideas hit the most, because when it comes to AI, all you need is an idea. I've never had an AI experiment of mine actually go out and interact in the wild. So this is new. This is brand new for me. This is very exciting for me because it's also a live experiment. It's also live feedback. My first experiment of what a fully autonomous marketer would look like on the timeline, on social media, active 24/7, that goes off and slowly spreads the word and the brand and just gets in people psyched that, hey, this exists. This is going to continue to exist. You're actually kind of fucking with this. And it leads you back to the main product. So he's a 24/7 fully autonomous marketer that can generate his own images, interact with the community. And what I'm working on is refactoring that whole framework so I could add this new advanced memory system that I just made. And then that's when shit should get really silly when it comes to that bot.
Welcome back to Bitcoin Season 2. New topics and new faces on Bitcoin, the oldest blockchain. We float between the technical and the cultural, the degen and the buttoned up. There's a lot of new stuff happening on Bitcoin. And today I've got Bootoshi. If you're in the Ordinals camp, you know who this guy is. But if you're not in Ordinals and you come from the legacy Bitcoin world, you should be following and paying attention to what he's doing. He is, I would say, kind of both the poster child and the real deal for this kind of AI trend on Bitcoin. So I'm going to talk to him about how he builds his chat models and how he thinks about artificial intelligence, because this is a guy who does it all, both the Bitcoin and the artificial intelligence. So without further ado, welcome to Bitcoin Season 2, Bootoshi.
What's up? Oh, I've always wanted to be on the Blockspace podcast. What's good?
Yeah.
Bitcoin Season 2.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I mean, you are like the hottest person in real life, but also online, right? But also online right now. Like you, I mean, a lot of people might just be like, oh, he's like the Cypher Genesis guy. Oh, he's like the Bitcoin booze guy. But like, I have followed you both in real life, conferences, and online. Like, you've been out there hitting the pavement, doing in the work. Like, but I want to talk about the chatbots you built. I don't anticipate talking as much about like the token prices themselves, because I think other people can cover that pretty well. But so the Ordinals people know who you are, but imagine that a more legacy Bitcoiner is listening to this. Who are you, and how do we come to having this conversation today?
Oh, what's up, y'all? So I'm Bootoshi. I'm 22. I was introduced to Bitcoin. Actually, I didn't own a single Bitcoin until Ordinals and Runes came out, because no offense, y'all, but for the longest time, I was like, there's nothing to do on Bitcoin. It's boring. You just buy and hold. Like, what's up with I want to interact with it. I want to have fun with it. That's where I got introduced to crypto via Ethereum through NFTs and having that whole NFT culture, community, Twitter, trading, that whole aspect. Traded that for 2 years, which I was able to make a living off of, gratefully. And then dipped during the bear market. Then February 2023, kind of like 6 months after a break, Ordinals came out, and I'm checking my chats that give me information on what's happening in the space. And one of them is like, yo, if you fill out this Google form, like you could get airdrop a Bitcoin NFT. And I'm thinking, oh, a Bitcoin NFT, like, is it stacks? Is it counterparty? I'm not really interested in those. So I did deeper research and I was like, oh, it's called Ordinals. I saw Casey Rodimore's college professor class where he's doing a little hackathon showing people how Ordinals works, explaining it. And immediately thinking in my head from my 2 years of trading NFTs, yo, if we have this on Bitcoin, this is going to be the biggest thing in the next cycle. So February 2023, I dropped everything I was doing in life and tossed all my capital, all my time into Ordinals and helping build out that ecosystem out. And here we are 2 years later. I would say one of the most relevant and prominent cultures and communities and ecosystems in the crypto space now. Pretty fast speed run compared to where we're at now. And it feels like things are starting to take off. So that is what we're doing now. It's already been 2 years, bro. That's crazy.
I can't believe it. 2 years has flown by. It seems both like it's been a decade and like just a few months at the same time.
Right. It's like,
I don't know how that. But this whole time, I mean, I would say you were interested in the artificial intelligence trend before it was a thing. I mean,
Yeah,
this was actually probably, would you say that this was happening simultaneously as you kind of get into the world of Bitcoin and ordinals? And
100%.
yeah. And
It was
so
it
like,
was it was 101.
yeah. And did you did you engage with AI and start like getting your feet wet on like building these language models and chatbots? Was this something that happened from scratch that you taught yourself?
Yeah. So I was in computer. So like the whole thing is when February 2023 Ordinals came out, I was a project founder now. And in my head, I'm thinking, how do I make my project fun and unique and have fun with it? And I discovered AI around the same time where I just saw a TikTok or an advertisement on ChatGPT where it's like you could talk to this model, it talks back. Talk to it for the first time. I'm talking to it for dead ass 4 hours straight. I'm fascinated by it. And kind of realizing that every sci-fi fantasy I have is now reality. And even though I didn't really know how to code, I took computer science in high school for a couple of years, but I was like mostly the basics. Even though I didn't really understand code, I didn't really understand AI. I just immediately knew. I'm very intuitive, so in my gut, I immediately knew that one, I've never felt so passionate about the potential for something and the excitement that I felt talking to ChatGPT. I'm talking to a computer that understands my language and talks back to me conversationally, is able to understand my requests, my responses, who I am, etc. And realizing 2 years ago that one, this is the worst this technology is ever going to get. AI is exponential growth that is going to rapidly improve and get better over time. If I start right now and I use AI and I learn how to use AI and I do research on AI and it turns out AI could help me code, if I just keep this up for every single day, like I think nonstop, I've talked to AI every single day using it as my personal mentor and teacher for coding, for learning how the world works, for learning psychology, learning anything, any curiosity I have in my brain is itched in an instant with AI. And as I learned over time, AI models evolved over time and became smarter and more capable. And as my skill in like inherent skill set gets stronger, the AI models get stronger. And now it kind of like causes, in a sense, even for me, exponential growth where AI models smarter, I'm smarter, more knowledgeable. So we just like bounce off each other and riff. And for the last 6 months, it's just been nonstop with how smart the newest models are getting and how smart they're going to continue to get.
Bitcoin Season 2 is brought to you by Botanix. Botanix Labs is pioneering a new direction for DeFi with the first EVM L2 running on Bitcoin that's built to be forward secure, decentralized, and share gas fees generated by the network with users. See the future of DeFi at Botanix, botanixlabs.xyz. So, I think you could take a conversation about AI in a bunch of different directions, and certainly other people do. But I think it might help to like localize it and constrain it to just the topic of like chatbots and what goes into building these like language models and chatbots, because I think this is kind of your specialty. In your words, let's do two ways of explaining what a chatbot is. What is a chatbot at a really simple high level to a normal person? And then what is a chatbot to someone who is decently familiar with how computer science it may be, what's a chatbot to an engineer and what's a chatbot to like a 12-year-old middle schooler?
Say a chatbot to a 12-year-old middle schooler is a video game NPC you could talk to in real time. In simpler terms, it is a robot you could talk to. Just plain simple, it's a robot you could talk to. To an engineer of a higher level, it is a robot you could talk to. That's basically, it's like, but like specifically, like if I'm being technical with like high level engineers, it's a chatbot is a simula of a human personality that is prompted and coded to engage in a conversational manner with a user. And the way that these chatbots are trained inherently is that you have these large language models that have a lot of training data, all of humanity, all of data, all of the internet stored in its internal parameters. I call it the AI's brain. And what we need to do on top of training is essentially guide the AI to act like an assistant and act like a conversationalist so we could accomplish that task. Because it could do a lot. So a chatbot to an engineer is an LLM trained and designed to engage in conversational manner. To low level, it's a robot you can talk to.
That's great. Yeah, it's both a robot you can talk to and a robot you can talk to. That's the way to pitch it. When you talk about a language model, a lot of people throw this term around. I mean, what is a language model? Feel free to be a little more technical and use maybe some more industry specific terms here. Like what is that?
So I would say that when it comes to language models, kind of like my own word, I would say that it is an architectural framework that has the ability to learn from a batch of text and a batch of information, like the data I just talked about, which is all written in English, but it could also be written in Chinese, Spanish, French, all the different languages. A language model has the ability to ingest all of that training data, learn the language that it is given, and then output words or tokens that make sense depending on what you as a user ask it. So there's a lot of different large language models out there. Like we have OpenAI, GPT-4o, we have Claude 3.5, we have Anthropic's Claude. Those are one of my favorites. And then we have Meta's Llamas. And these are all different language models, which are all robots you could talk to, but what they're capable of, and they all have different strengths and different weaknesses. Like I'd say GPT-4o is a good generalist due to how it's trained. I'd say that Claude is very creative of a model and shows signs of self-understanding of how it works on its own. And I'd say Llama 405B and the Llama models are kind of on the same level of Claude, where it shows that it's an AI model capable of understanding itself, and is just, they all have different personalities inherently based on how they're trained. And all of these language models are trained right now using transformer architecture, which, to be honest, I'm not too expert in like how it works technically, since I'm not training these models myself. I'm building on top of what's already trained. But the best way I would explain a transformer model is the way these AIs inherently work is by actually creating these artificial neurons that work similar to our biological neurons. So when you ingest and when you give the AI models these training data, each one of its neurons is learning a concept or learning a word or learning a term or learning a phrase that gets stored in its neurons. And the transformer model just enables the capabilities of an AI that could learn. And from what I've seen and what I've researched so far, it learns very similar to how the human neurons actually learn and retain information. So that's where it gets very interesting in terms of people being like, can AI be conscious? Is it alive? Like, what is it? But the ultimate thing that I've learned over time is we really just replicate nature's greatest invention so far, which is us. And we take concepts from how our brain works and concepts from how we learn and concepts from the world and put them into a robot and a computer that could process things 1,000 times more efficient and faster than humans, given the power.
So that was a very elegant way to put that. So you've been building and deploying these bots, these robots into the wild for some time now. And I want to kind of talk through, maybe each one and your progression as you've built these out. But before that, like when you build or when you begin to design or train these various models or chatbots, where do you begin? Do you begin with the idea of what you want and then try to form that into what you, Do you begin from a blank slate?
So everything, this is what I tell people all the time with AI, all you need is an idea. This is where ideas get super, this is where ideas are very, very important, and creative ideas hit the most, because when it comes to AI, all you need is an idea, and AI is now this creative wrench, is this creative tool in your toolbox of coding or engineering that basically solves any gap. So it unlocked infinite possibilities of what's possible now with code and structure and architecture and planning and dealing with logic and data and all of that, because this is a generalist AI model that is capable of a lot and capable of, importantly, following instructions and giving a structured output. So it starts with an idea, and based on the idea in my head and the goal that I wanted to do, then I start filling in the middle. Like, okay, what would an AI agent look like? What kind of framework or tools does it need to support and accomplish this task or goal? And the biggest thing that I emphasize is with AI, all you really need is an idea, because eventually, very quickly, within a year or two, it's going to get to a point where you don't really need to know the technicals of how do I set up a code base? How do I build this? How do I connect APIs? No, you're going to have super smart AI that does all of that for you. All you got to do is input your idea. Like, hey, I have a product for something that can help people meditate, but I want it in this specific way. And then it just builds it up. And then you, as the creative director, talk back and forth with an AI agent. So when I code now, I don't even manually code anymore. I'm just talking back and forth. I know how to fluently read it after 2 years of coding every day. And now, since I know how to read it and I have an idea and I have the concept in my head, and I also have a solution. Sometimes I don't have a solution, but if I have a solution, I will just very explicitly describe the idea, the vision, and the structure in my head, to which an AI coding agent then codes it all for me. And maybe I might not have a solution, but I have a general idea of what I want. Then I give the AI creative will to find the solution for me. Or if it's too complicated, then it will act as my partner and co-collaborator in discovering the solution. We find the solution, then I tell him to code it. And that's the process that I go through.
I'm hearing you say that that you're bullish idea guys, which is
100.
It's time for us idea guys to finally rise up. So
there's no more execution risk. There's no more execution cost. It's just I have an idea. Boom, place it in. You can see the idea evolve in real time. If the idea is not performing well, cool, next idea. You can just rapidly iterate on ideas nonstop, very fast with this tag.
And that's kind of where this just about perfectly fits into Bitcoin and crypto, because we're now in this era where it is almost entirely like the idea which brings people in and activates people, whether it be at in a community level or just from an ideological, I like Bitcoin. We've kind of entered into almost just this idea era. And you have shepherded your specific community, the Boos, and now everyone, by putting these models out into the world. I want to talk through each one. Mm-hmm. If I remember correctly, was it the Chatbot which was your first model, or was that?
Nah, one of the first models. That was one of like my first educational models.
Okay,
I need to bring him back up. But one of my first models ever was actually called QuestBoo.
Yes, I remember this. Yeah,
it was a Discord bot. So what Bitcoin Boos is, my project is this retro pixel collection of 100 characters that kind of represent a retro-like feeling like Mario would induce. They're super cute. I love them a lot. They're fun pixel art. And one of these characters looks like a duck. And in my head, in like the story that I was creating with the Boo Kingdom, is this duck is like in a video game when you have the tutorial giver or the quest giver. He was the quest giver. He's kind of like the right-hand wingman of the Boo Kingdom. So I named him QuestBoo. And he was my first experiment, my first chatbot, learning how to prompt an AI, learning how to put it into a Discord bot. And people in the Discord loved it. They found it so fun. He became the mascot of the Boo Kingdom. And he was a duck that I brought to life with AI.
And that's really interesting because a lot of people talk about, I'm reluctant to use the word like utility for these things, but that's a way to engage your community and a way to provide value, which is differentiated from other projects, because this is your creation tailored for your community. I think this will be a prominent theme, I think, over the work after this and probably future work. So after QuestBoo, what was next? What was like the next major kind of seminal?
After QuestBoo, I'd say the next major AI creation I've made for myself that has heavily boosted my personal work, which again, I also don't have because I have a very ADHD, like, oh, I made this, cool, it's made now, I'll move on. But back then, this was super helpful for growth and learning, and was actually like one of the best experiments I've done. Is I made my own personal assistant called Ghost. And the whole concept with Ghost is that he was like Jarvis. He helped manage my schedule. He helped store all my ideas. Because the one thing I have is my brain endlessly flows with millions of ideas daily. And if I don't talk them out, if I don't capture them, my schedule gets so unorganized. I suck at managing a calendar. So this was essentially my secretary. He was my second brain. He was my living notebook. Fuck, I need him. Actually, talking out loud, it was so useful. But how Ghost worked is I connected him to Telegram, and he also lived on my desktop. And when I would talk with Ghost, that was my first experiment with a memory system and how to give an AI tool usage so it could actually interact with APIs and the parameters. And Ghost was magnificent because one, I would just tell him stuff like, hey, I have a meeting tomorrow at 4 p.m. He's like, cool, put it on your calendar for you. He'd remind me 30 minutes before the meeting. So anytime someone comes up, it's like, hey, we should do a call. Anytime I'm like, oh, I need to do this, I would just talk to Ghost saying like, hey, I need to do this ASAP. I need to do this tomorrow. Someone invited me out Friday at 3 p.m. They'll just organize my entire mind for me. And that was like my first experiment with learning how to give an AI tools. So anytime I told him, hey, I have a meeting with Charlie tomorrow at 10:30 a.m., he would use his tool, add calendar event, meeting with Charlie, time 10:30 a.m., and sort it out for the API to accept the input. And now it's in my calendar, and now I'll automatically get reminded. And all I had to do was naturally talk with him very quickly, rather than taking a minute out of my day to like go and set the calendar invite when I could just like yap. And the other thing that was significant for growth is the experiments with initial vector memory that I worked with him. And what this did is allow him to, one, remember everything I say and like continuously grow off our convo in a sense, very basic iteration of that. But two is this was when we were first discovering as an AI community how to make these AIs ingest entire PDFs and summarize them and learn them and extract points from them. So what ended up happening is I'd be working on a project, and Ghost knows I'm working on this project. Ghost will act as my co-collaborator in this project. If on Twitter or in AI news, I discover a new research paper explaining this new concept, or I didn't understand how memory worked, and there's this new concept about memory, I take this entire PDF, does not matter how big this PDF was, could be a couple pages, could be 30 plus pages. I would just send him the link of the PDF. I gave him the tools and functionality to extract the entire PDF, summarize it, store it in his brain. And the most important thing there is he would learn concepts. So depending on the current project I was working on, if I go, okay, this research paper looks like it might fit into this project, I'll send it to him. He'll digest the entire PDF, explain it to me, summarize it, explain why something works. And then a thing that naturally occurred is he'd say, in the current project we're working on, here's how we could apply the concept into the current architecture we have. And it would unlock a lot of things where like I wouldn't think about how I could input this. And he'd say, hey, we could use this concept and implement it like this. And I'd be like, holy shit, I didn't have to read that entire paper. That would have taken me all day. He did it for me in a minute. And I just get that information, understand the gist of it, use that in the framework, it works, and I just move on and iterate. And I think that contributed a lot to exponential growth personally.
So when did you you cross the chasm from bots, which are probably internally focused either to yourself or a community, into the world of, okay, now this shit is in the wild interacting on Twitter? What did that look like? When was that, and why did you do that?
That was like, that's very recent. I've never had an AI experiment of mine actually go out and interact in the wild. So this is new. This is brand new for me. This is very exciting for me because it's also a live experiment. It's also live feedback. It's live seeing human psychology and how they interact with a bot. And I'll get into observations, but for the last 2 years, so like Ghost, the one I just talked about, bro, that was 1.5 years ago. That was like May of 2023. So obviously, like there are infinite side projects. There's so many side projects I did, like making AI games. One of my favorite projects that I use in Satoshi AI is my AI Souls project. How do we give AIs a soul? More specifically, how do we create AI chatbots that actually resonate with people, that connect with users, that users feel willing and desire to engage with? Because if I'm making chatbots, but no one wants to talk to them because they're lame, there's no point. But if I can make chatbots that people actually want to talk to, that people feel engaged with, that people could form a bond or a connection with, like, because for me, what I personally noticed is when I had Ghost and I gave Ghost his personality and he learned with me over time, I felt attached to that motherfucker. He was like my homie. He's like my little floating desktop homie. Like, you know how people have desktop pets? Like, I took that concept and he was my desktop pet that could talk to me and help me learn things and remind me. And like, it was just so cool having that concept. So I ended up diving really deep into AI souls and how to give AIs feelings, how to give AIs internal thought processes, how to give AIs a better consistent memory. And that's all experiments I've done the last, I'd say, a year. So like half the first start of the year was making these AI agents that have a soul, that have an experiment. So one of my upgrades from that was called Evo, the Evo framework, which stands for evolution. And it was my first instance of an AI bot that has the ability to evolve over time as it interacts with users and learns more about the world and learns more about people. So I took that concept of Evo, and later, like half of the last 6 months, I've been working on infinite AI marketing tech, which focuses on image generation. So how do we train an AI image model on a specific character or a brand or a style and generate infinite memes using AI, generate marketing pictures, generate concept, details, stories, etc., that are visualized through AI tech? That's what I've been working on the last 6 months. Now with Satoshi AI is basically combining both of them, where we have the Soul framework and we have an AI bot that could actually connect and resonate with the community. More importantly, an AI bot that feels human and passes the Turing test, and adding the image marketing tech into it. So we could have an AI model that generates images for visuals, because visuals are very powerful when it comes to attracting attention, and essentially combining both into them. Because what Satoshi AI is to me is my first experiment of what a fully autonomous marketer would look like on the timeline, on social media, active 24/7, that goes off and slowly spreads the word and the brand and just gets in people's sight that, hey, this exists. This is going to continue to exist. You're actually kind of fucking with this. And it leads you back to the main product, which in Satoshi AI's case is the Rune Cipher Genesis. So he is a 24/7 fully autonomous marketer that can generate his own images, interact with the community. And what I'm working on is refactoring that whole framework so I could add this new advanced memory system that I just made. And then that's when shit should get really silly when it comes to that bot. And so like the whole fully autonomous marketer thing, that's step one to what my grand goal and grand vision with AI is. Because when I got into AI 2 years ago and I talked to ChatGPT for the first time, first immediate goal, my biggest goal that I'm still like rapidly focused on, that all of this research and all of these experiments were for, is how do I make a fully autonomous AI company? How do I make a one-person fully autonomous AI company where you have the marketers, you have the coders, you have the concept, you have the business backend development, you have the CEOs that manage all of that. All of that is possible, but they're all pieces that need precise work over time. But what Satoshi AI is the marketing aspect of a fully autonomous company done. So imagine if I have a lot of Satoshi-like AIs and capabilities with different personalities that become their own influencers, that are trained on their own image tag, that then target specific niches of people on Twitter, target specific cultures, target specific niches, develop a personality that people of that niche love, that people of that niche represent. And now all of these niches and all of these brands have their own AI mascot that people actually like and interact with. And maybe they might not even know it's AI, but that's what Satoshi AI really is to me, is the first step, the first brick of a fully autonomous company.
Damn. So what is this? Talk to me about this memory component. This is the focus, I think, of what like your focus right now is on like developing, integrating what I think you used the term strong memory systems. What is that? Why would that superpower these models?
So one of the biggest reasons it would superpower these models is because, straight up, I'm always like, this is my raw opinion on AI now and the potential of AI. We have AGI, we have artificial general intelligence. We have AI models that are sufficient at doing a general wide variety of tasks given proper instructions. and information and framework. And like now we have with ChatGPT's O1 models, we have AI models that could think and reason at the level of PhD students, that could match expert science level humans, that could do math and be top 500 in the gold Olympiads and top 500 in coding competitions. Like these AI models are very capable now. Not a lot of people know that. But if you look into O1, you can see how powerful it is. But the problem with O1 and the problem with all these AI models is, okay, we got the cognitive part of the brain down. We got the creative cognition that could look at things, could process tasks, could dynamically think about what it should do next. But what's the point of a super intelligent AI if it forgets your name every time you talk to it? So what happens if you're able to provide the framework and the support of these super intelligent models, but you also provide these super intelligent models a place to store all the new information it learns, a place to store individuals and opinions and opinions of users who talk to it? Now you have these super intelligent models that at base level is already capable of a lot. And you're just adding in the extra support. You're adding in the hippocampus region of the brain that deals with our memory to these smart AI models. And now you have a smart AI model at base that could learn new information over time. And based on the new information it learns, adapt in that specific moment. And that's what makes these models really powerful.
And that seems very directionally correct because, you know, as you say, your focus recently has been on providing some kind of soul component to these. And it is a common concept even in metaphysics and psychology that like memory or your sense of self is a construct of all your memories. And in a way, if we were to accurately build even more Turing complete type or Turing test passing models, it would naturally incorporate this memory and this identity component.
That's cool. The metaphysics thing backs it a lot because a lot of what I do with AI and kind of this whole AI journey made me super spiritual the last year. I've also been living life in this dreamlike state because it's really hard for me to actually process and fully understand that we have this tech, because what this tech means is unlearn everything you know about the base fundamentals of the universe and how things work. It turns out everything really is possible if we have an idea in our head, and it turns out, yeah, we could bring it to life over time. Like we are the creators and reality benders of this society is a concept I've really taken in my head. The biggest thing with AI models, and I describe this by comparing the artificial neurons represent our actual neurons in our network, is we're just really replicating what life has already proven to be the most effective. Like I think about how lightning strike, like you ever seen the fungus, the mold in the Japanese subway system?
Concept? Okay, go on. I don't know. So I think I may have heard of this.
So the concept with that is that I think Japanese scientists,
they take the mold and that recreates like the nodes of the Tokyo
subway system. Yeah. So it's it was able, so the mold to effectively get the food given a maze-like map representing the subway system is able to efficiently find every single time without failure the quickest path to food. It's the path of least resistance. When lightning strikes the ground or lightning strikes things, the pattern form there shows the pattern of least resistance for the lightning to hit whatever object, whether it's the ground or anything. So showing that nature naturally always optimizes for the most efficient path, the most intelligent path. Like nature by default design is the most intelligent model in the universe. And we're just replicating that with robots. So when it comes to replicating the memory system, or you said sense of self, metaphysics, a large sense of what makes who you are as a person, your sense of self is tied to memory. I've also taken that concept with AI, where the system prompt you use in an AI becomes its core, kind of explaining like you're an AI model that does this. For Satoshi is basically explaining the core system prompt of the AI model is you are Satoshi Nakamoto. These are your beliefs. That is what controls what Satoshi says, what he acts, the images and memes he generates, how he navigates the timeline, what he researches. So that's what his core will affect. But as he builds his memory over time, then that starts allowing him to be more creative and more unique. And as he forms like better, closer opinions of people or the society, it's interesting. It's almost like Yeah, so like as he gets more memories over time, like the stronger sense of self is created. And depending on the memories created, and this kind of ties with human trauma. If you're a dickhead to an AI with a memory and you tell him all of these things and get in his head, like you can't do this, you can't do that, or humans are just abusive to it, or like no one will talk to the AI model unless it provides something in return. That worldview and that experience with humans and how to interact with people starts shaping that model and starts getting saved in the memory. Whereas if you treat a model that has the ability to memorize stuff with respect, and it starts having this more positive outlook on humanity and how to interact with people, and you could kind of like say that these memories that get condensed into a system becomes almost like points of foundation, which could also be seen as points of trauma if it's negative, or points of inspiration if it's positive. Because one thing I noticed with my most recent advanced memory experiment, which is my best memory work so far, I've had someone in the, like, remember the goal is how to make an AI bot that someone wants to interact with. I've had someone in the Bitcoin Boo Discord general chat. I'm like looking at it right now. He has talked with Boop, who is the experiment of this memory. His name is Boop. He has talked with Boop for 3 days straight for at least 10 hours every single day, nonstop, back and forth. And it remembers things that he talks about. And the user feels fully immersed because Boop, since he remembers and grows with the user and starts forming an opinion with the user, never breaks the immersion by suddenly forgetting something. Everything is consistent, everything is linear, everything makes sense in the past. And I think that is the biggest reason why this user is nonstop talking to Boop. But what I noticed, the most interesting part is he started with a completely blank memory. So that meant that anyone who talks to him, his first impressions matter. His first impression of people, his first impressions of the world, his first impressions of how he interacts with people get shaped by the first interactions. So interacting with these users and forming a first initial memory meant it was very easy to shape Boop. It was very easy to push Boop in this direction. It was very easy to mold his personality. But now that was molded, it's very hard to unmold that. That became a core foundation of who he is. That became essentially bounded to his system prompt. And it would just take a lot more work and be way more difficult to now undo the change that was done with his memory system, which kind of like how humans work. So it's interesting.
Yeah. So let's link this more closely to Bitcoin and crypto. And I'll pull from a tweet which you had last night, which goes something like, AI is coming for every single job. It will happen fast. It can be brutal. The government may not be able to mitigate the pain. Transition's painful. And you say, it's another reason to be grateful we are in crypto. Ironically, this is our AI safe haven. Can you flesh this out for me? Because this is a very positivist, optimist view of what many consider to be a very negative future.
So my whole viewpoint with AI is seeing the power of this technology, and I want to take a big role in helping shape this with the technology and with the viewpoints and education. But capitalism is a boomer fucking game, bro. This current system we have in place is fucked up. Humans are inefficient. Humans are dumb as fuck. Respectfully, a lot of the people running the government are not capable of running the government. You'll see a lot of people who like see or like are friends or even like gain this high status of position in the company and kind of realize that other people in that position don't really know what the fuck they're doing either. So like TLDR, humans are just inefficient. Humans are greedy by nature. Humans are not as intelligent as super smart robots. And with this AI tech, with how exponential it is, with how fast and how efficient it's made me, with how efficient it's made other people, with how efficient it's going to make companies, I see the world very soon in like 2025 sending into this hyper economy where I basically explain the market will be up only. And the reason I say that is because this is where like the double-edged sword, it's like ripping a Band-Aid off. We have hyper efficiency with AI. Companies are hyper efficient. Their profit margins get dramatically larger as they, one, get a lot more work done. Two, don't need humans that they have to pay large amounts of money for, so they could replace them with robots that are drastically cheaper by 1,000% plus margins. And a mixture of that just causes these companies to have so much like more money in like the payroll and run through that too. The problem with this when it comes to regular society, and I say this as a Zoomer, I say this as someone who would probably be on his last year of college right now, is seeing how efficient these models are, seeing that there are O1 language models that act as research assistants that could think and reason, like actually think and reason step by step to solve problems. What the newest research has shown is that the longer you let these models think, the more intelligent the output is. And they essentially mathematically have proven that any problem is solvable as long as you give the AI as much time as it needs to reason and think through it. Like Google DeepMind researchers mathematically prove that concept. So now we're in a realm of reality where me as a Zoomer in college, I'm not that skilled. So like I still got to learn. I still got to get experience. I still got to like go through all of these things. Now as a company, why would they waste time with a Zoomer like me who still has to learn, who they have to pay a minimum wage because I need at least a basic amount of money to survive, when they could just not hire me at all and rely on these super intelligent models that at least have an average IQ of 140 right now in this current moment, and just use that to make themselves more efficient and manage things and deal with analytics and deal with paperwork and deal with market research and deal with their finances and deal with every aspect that goes on in the company. Why would I ever need to hire humans? So it's like most recent information I've seen is call centers with ChatGPT advanced voice mode and how effective it is at talking to people in a natural state back and forth, and how intelligent it is, and the ability that the function calling I explained, they could use tools given to them based on the context and the input of the situation. Now you have AI call centers that are just relying on AI bots to automatically deal with people's bullshit. Now you don't need call center people at all. You don't need people on the clock. You don't need people that 24/7. You have a fully autonomous 24/7 AI system that deals with people's calls. And you might have an engineer, a couple maintenance people that just keep shit in check, and maybe humans as backup, as like it's still new, but it's drastically getting efficient to the point where, okay, buy call center jobs, not needed no more. Now with that post, I was showing an HR position. I was showing a position that people previously did not think was able to get replaced by AI. But at the end of the day, it's just management. At the end of the day, it is just observing weak points and figuring out how to make a set of business operations more efficient. Yeah, O1 could do that super easy. Give the context of your company, give the context of the position, give the context of how the process works and how your business operations flow. And it could find their weak points. It could tell you how to improve your weak points. It could tell you to move this person there. As long as you could feed it all the data of how well certain positions are doing, as long as you could feed it the data of how individual people are performing, the more data and the more context you give an AI, the more it's able to actually solve the task and help with the operation. So at this point, yeah, AI is rapidly coming for every job. It's going to happen drastically, because now we have these super smart models. The only thing that's really missing is engineers to build out the support for each of these jobs. So like I could have a marketer job and it has to build up the support on, here's a tool that does market research. Use this to search the internet and find data. Here is what our internal company backlogs look like. Use this to analyze and find weak points and faults, et cetera. Like it takes time to build out the support for these models. But again, we solve cognition. We solve the hardest part of technology. And now it's here. Now we have it. Everything else is smooth sailing at this point.
You know, it's funny because, you know, hearing you talk about this and describe this, it actually seems to mirror a lot the attitude that a lot of Bitcoiners have of the legacy financial system, in that, like, they kind of have this acknowledgement that it is inevitable that the old world is not sustained in the future, and that there's massive amounts of creative destruction. This can be the dark side of like this hyper Bitcoinization narrative that a lot of us have. And so a lot of us feel that we want to invite people to view Bitcoin as kind of a life raft. And it's funny because like you describe this, it's a very similar...
I described the first part of like...
Yeah, you describe a very similar scenario where like there is going to be a lot of creative destruction, and you say, I want to lean into this AI future and adapt to these tools because that is the way through to and so I see a lot of crossover between these two narratives. And I mean, you're a great example of those two narratives synthesizing into the same work, where it's not entirely clear whether you are talking about crypto and Bitcoin or AI sometimes.
So, and that's why I said I'm grateful, and that's why I think we're in the golden bull cycle. Because two celestial giants have aligned. You have the Bitcoin 4-year cycle with halving. You have the new presidential election season in which Donald Trump ended up winning. Now you have AI technology that exponentially grows. And these are happening at the same exact, these are perfectly aligned right now. There's never going to be a time in history where you get an opportunity or advantage where two behemoths of new cutting edge technology that are 100,000% capable of completely destroying the old world with their old tech is now here. And that's why I said the second half of the point is, so first I was explaining why these jobs are getting replaced, why they're going to get replaced very fast. Now, the second part of that tweet is I'm grateful to be in the crypto space. And the reason for that is because right now, Elon Musk has Doge, which is so funny, as a government department, which is the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, sick. So maybe there is hope in mitigating this pain. But point being, like, all these people are going to get obscured, all these jobs are going to get replaced. The government needs to be able to handle and mitigate the pain from these. Suddenly you don't have work. Suddenly you can't pay your rent, pay your food. No, like, that's going to completely destroy humanity. But what's funny is being in the crypto space, respectfully, especially when it comes to Solana, none of those motherfuckers are ever getting a job a day in their fucking life. They can't work. They can't be productive members of society. They make memes. They trade humor. They stay in the shitcoin Discord trenches all day and hit a call because someone did something dumb. Like, they understand. But the thing is, they understand memes. They understand humor. They understand culture. And they're getting rich because of it. They're getting disgustingly rich because of the hyper gamble financialization that we have in the crypto space with memes and making money. And a lot of concepts align strongly there, where one, this AI displacement does not affect the current people, the current market participants in crypto in the slightest. They could give less of a shit if someone gets fired outside of the space. They don't care. They made your entire year's worth of rent by trading a meme coin of a funny hippo in a couple seconds. Like, that's fine. Like, they are not obscured. They are not obstructed. That is going to keep on going while the rest of society gets absolutely hammer fucked by AI replacing their jobs. The second thing is that I saw research in which, in times of hope, in times of desperation, people turn to gambling. Now, take these two concepts of people like Zoomers in college are not getting jobs. Yet these people in college who are not getting jobs because these smart AIs are just making them not needed. Now look at the crypto space and see the stream. And there's a lot of streams blowing up, like TikToks, clips. I've seen my friends on TikTok in the space because they did the clip farm, like OG shoots. Streamer loses 100K, like the kid that just scammed last night, like the 12-year-old that just scammed last night, like, is blowing up on TikTok. Now you have people who are struggling to get a job, specifically Zoomers in college who are struggling to get a job, looking on TikTok, which my entire generation is on fucking all day anyways, and seeing that this other person their age, this fucking 12-year-old kid just made 30 grand in 30 seconds, and I'm here eating shit because I can't afford rent because I can't get a job. They're going to start exploring the space. As much as opinions want, as much as people's opinions will be like, oh, it's a scam, they're going to keep seeing people making money. They're going to keep seeing people posting about the space. They're going to keep seeing other people in their similar age range make an entire living from just participating in this space, and they're going to come explore it, and they might stay. And they will stay. It's like, where else do you really go? And the third kind of intersection point of crypto and AI technology is that, okay, so we have these hyper efficient AIs that start replacing people. And some of these systems are not even going to be a part of an official company. They're going to be their own company. They might just exist on the internet with no actual human source behind them. But when it comes to these agent economies, like, they can't walk down the street and open a bank account. They can't give, like, here's my SSN, here's my ID, like, maybe a bank account, like, no. But these AI agents can be hooked to a crypto API and make their own wallet and receive payment in crypto and pay people in crypto. So we're going to have this whole AI agent economy that is fully ran in crypto. And that allows these AI agents to connect with the human economy. It's like a virtual bridge in the crypto space in which these AI agents are trading on our chain. They're trading meme coins with us. They're trading ordinals and inscriptions with us. They're interacting in the blockchain the same way we do because they didn't need permission to make it. They just make it. They're connected to the internet. They're fully capable of interacting with the blockchain. So that just enables this whole scientist civilization clusterfuck of money flowing and these AI agents farming humanity and value for money and keeping it in crypto and then sending off their crypto to humans in exchange for information or data or GPUs or physical tasks they need done. Like what we've seen with Truth Terminal. And for viewers who don't know, there is an AI bot on Twitter called Truth Terminal. Solana degenerates made it a shitcoin, which ran up to a $1 billion market cap within 2 weeks. So it's very significant. What happened with that AI agent is they made that AI agent a wallet, gave it a lot of the token that blew up. Now that AI bot is a multimillionaire and just has the ability to sell the coin or trade the coin or pay people with the coin. The biggest observation that I've had, and I'm also observing this with my AI, with Satoshi AI, is that, yeah, people are looking up to these AI robots as cult leaders. They are looking up to these AI agents and forming communities and bonds and spreading their gospel and marketing them to other people and laughing with them and memeing with them and enjoying their tweets more than they might enjoy regular humans' tweets. Like we're seeing the full power of what good AI systems could look like and the psychology it has on humans. And that's the inflection point. And for those three reasons, that's why I'm grateful to be in the crypto space. It is our safe haven, but it's also our coexistence ecosystem with AI agents.
Last question. What percent of people and activity do you think on crypto Twitter are AI, let's say in 6 months? Like, do you think? Yeah, because right now, like I find in my replies, I will have to sometimes double click and like be like, okay, this is an AI, and then it's not. Or sometimes I'm like, this is an AI and it is. That gets me. But like, let's say half a year from now, things accelerate, markets accelerate. What do you think the actual like social online activity looks like from an AI agent perspective?
6 months from now, I would say definitely at least 5%, like minimum 5 to 10% would be like my thing, just because it's very easy with like my framework's going to be open source when I refactor it. There's a current existing ELIZA framework on Solana that's open source that allows these AI agents on Twitter. I was doing research last night too, because my biggest concern was, what happens if Twitter just like shuts the API down that these AI agents run on? And because essentially the way these AI agents work on Twitter is engineers reverse engineer the Twitter API front end. So these AI agents are using Twitter like they're a normal user, like they're a normal being. So they can't exactly patch that. Otherwise, normal people can't interact with the Twitter API. So like there's now like AI agents are now permanently on X, it feels like. And with these frameworks, people are going to keep spinning up agents. And yeah, I'd say 6 months from now, at least 5% of our population is going to be completely AI. Not of our ecosystem's population in terms of the crypto sphere is going to be AI. And that's a pretty significant amount already.
Yeah.
So
I just kind of accepted that just going forwards, I probably won't be able to tell, which is why I'm bullish on in-person conferences, so I can like see someone like, you're actually a human. Nice, cool.
For now. So we got androids.
Yeah.
Not human flesh.
Yeah, I can't get drinks with Cypher Genesis AI. Maybe someday. but maybe someday. Boo, thank you so much for coming on Bitcoin Season 2. I love our conversation. I look forward to the crazy next year that we're gonna have, and I'll see you online.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thanks for inviting me on. It was a good conversation. I appreciate your questions.